2, 3, action. Yeah, what is up guys? Fahan here with Zah once again, and today we have Felza. How are you, Felza?
Good. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for approaching us and willing to do this bike review with us. And this is Felza's bike, an SYM GTS 2200. Sorry,
2000. Wow.
SYM GTS 200.
That's right.
Yeah, and in Malaysia it's known as the VTS 200.
Yes.
For some reason they changed the G to a V.
It's the same thing. We actually wanted to review this bike for quite some time already because it is one of the popular bikes when it was first introduced.
Yes,
right.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And I still remember one of my close friend. You know the guy who wrote the X-Max 400 in our second video.
Yes.
That one, he bought this before.
When it was first launched, it was so common. You see it everywhere. It was out during the era whereby scooters weren't reliable yet. Yeah. And good news, guys. Felza is selling this bike.
Not selling. I think it's going to be exported out.
Oh, really? Exported.
Because there's really no use for this bike.
I see.
The spare parts are also hard to come by.
Okay, we'll talk about this later on. So right now we are going to
give a little bit of background about it.
Built for 2006 to 2014 by the Taiwanese manufacturer SYM, the GTS 200 is a scooter built for convenience for the everyday commuter. It came into the Singaporean market during when automatic scooters weren't as popular. In Malaysia, it's known as the SYM VTS 200. Engine is a 171.2cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder 4-stroke ceramic cylinder with a carburetor fuel system and a CVT automatic transmission. Once a popular scooter during the early 2010s, the GTS 200 is now an common sight on Singaporean roads.
Okay, so Felza.
Yes.
For yourself, why did you buy the SYM 200 and how much is it that time?
Price wise, it was very cheap because I bought it used. I bought it only for $2,000.
Oh my god!
Yeah, very, very cheap.
How many years was
2 years left.
2 years left.
So I bought it with the thought of renewing the COE for just 5 years, because then I didn't know what motorcycles to go for. How I got this was a trip that I had many years ago. I went to Milan, Italy, and then everybody was on scooters.
Yeah, correct.
Then I think your scooter, the Vespa, was very famous there. And then first, I think then it was the Suzuki Bergman.
Yes.
So I saw it. I was like, what the hell is this? Like car on 2 wheels, so big. So when I came back to Singapore, then I was already riding. So when I wanted to buy a bike a couple of years ago, I thought about the experience. So I was searching for a 2B maxi scooter, and I think maybe this is the only one for 2B. So and the price 2,000, you cannot you cannot argue with that.
Bargain, man. So the price tag actually proves that the COE is not how expensive the bike is. It's the how many years COE left is on the bike.
Exactly. Yeah.
True.
It's a very sad truth.
It's the sad truth in Singapore.
Yes.
Before this bike, what bike were you riding?
From the first or just before this?
Maybe from the first, you can share your experience with bike-wise.
The first I rode Kawasaki KR because everybody, all my friends were riding SP. I just didn't want to ride. I just want to be unique, so I rode the KR. Wow, that one had a lot of problems. That was where it taught me about going to Malaysia, the Lorong Bapok and everything. Getting scammed by all the motor shop, that was, I spent so much money on it. I bought that bike for $3,000, but I think I spent maintaining it more than the bike's worth.
Oh my god!
And then after that, I started the unreliable scooter trend, which was this brand called PGO. Also another Taiwanese brand. Broke down on me 2 weeks later. In the expressway, I returned it back to the shop. I don't want this anymore. After that, I rode Honda Wave because I was in the army then. The cheapest thing you can find, Honda Wave. After that, RXZ. I rode RXZ for a short while, and then the most recent one before this was the R125.
R125, okay.
Because the size is big, and I thought it was the most sportiest, the most good-looking sports bike in Singapore. So I got that one. Then this one.
So in your 5 years, how's she treating you, man?
Starting, she had a lot of issues because I think there was a manufacturing problem with the head block. So I had to find a motor shop to actually understand why it was causing the issue. Most of the motor shop I go to, the first thing they say, oh, you have to overhaul, you have to change the head block.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, how much is it? Then they told me it's 800 to 1,200. I got the bike for $2,000. I'm not gonna spend that kind of money. It doesn't make sense. So I went to the SYM dealership. So I asked the guy, I think it was the owner of the spare part dealership at Well Road. Asked him, recommend me a shop who can do this bike. He recommended me this mechanic called Ayong. So I went there, and then Ayong looked at me like, why are you here? What do you want?
Purpose?
Yeah. I said I want to. I told him the problem. He diagnosed it. I think that cost me about $300 just to change the gasket. So over the years, when the border was still open, it was easy to get spare parts.
Understood.
Cheaper than Singapore because you had the VTS 200.
Yes, correct.
But now with the border closed, my mechanic say, maybe you want to think about getting another bike. Yeah. So that's the reason why I contacted you guys for a good memory of this. Yeah. Because this is the longest I've owned a motorcycle.
You're like our brother, that guy Norham. He also
Oh yeah, yes, I remember that. Now I recall the name. He actually wanted to make a video because he wants to have a piece of memory with the bike. And for riders out there, if you want to keep a piece of memory of your beloved bike, just contact us. We really want in touch with you. Especially if you are riding a vintage bike or a bike that is already out of production.
Yeah, that was how I contacted you. I contacted you on Instagram.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, for a long time I wanted to review this. But
why this bike though?
because it was so common when I first saw it.
Yeah, it was very common. In fact, my friend Fairuz, he bought this first hand. Then after 2 years, he had to overhaul the bike. He said
it's not cheap
compared to the previous bike. He was riding a Piaggio X8. When he was riding this bike, it was, in the beginning it's okay, nice, but then after 2 years he had to change. He had to go for overhaul, which is kind of unusual because for a 2-year-old bike you have to go for overhaul. It's unusual. Maybe what you mentioned earlier on,
the head block,
probably.
The problem is the coolant keeps seeping into the spark plug.
I see.
I don't know why.
But I think in Taiwan, in his home country, it should be popular.
I think spare parts are cheaper also.
Spare parts are cheaper over there, and in Malaysia, this bike is very popular. The VTS 200 is so popular, man.
Yeah.
Even until now, I see in Singapore roads, when I see this bike, it's a Malaysia plate.
That was exactly why I chose this bike, because I thought then there were so many of these bikes, so I thought spare parts would be cheap if there was a problem, but apparently now the spare parts are getting more expensive.
Yep.
So Felsa, compared to other bikes you have rode so far, how do you compare its performance?
This is like sitting on a sofa. When I rode a sports bike, your neck will get pain, your back will get pain. When I rode the Kapcha, it was a bit too small for my body frame. But this one, despite the engine reliability is questionable, it's super comfortable. And when I take my fiance, when she's on the bike,
she can sleep.
Exactly. She did fell asleep. Like, we were back home late once. Then I was like, why? I feel like there's a movement at the back. I look behind. She's, So that is how comfortable it is. Because you see the width of the seat.
I mean, that's what scooters are built for comfort.
Exactly.
In fact, if you take a look at the floorboard, it's not like the X-Max, The X-Max is quite wide, which makes you have to stretch out your leg further, and you have to tiptoe. Whereas this one, it has a cutaway, It has a cutaway to allow you to stand properly.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
If you see on X-Max, bro, you'll be like,
that was what happened when I sat on the X-Max. I was tiptoeing.
And then being a scooter, right, we have to talk about versatility. How's the storage space on this bad boy?
Oh, it's amazing. It's not as good as the X-Max. I think the X-Max you can put 2 helmets. This one you can put 1 helmet. I can put 2 raincoats. I can put my toolkit. I have a bike pump in there. That's why I have this massive box, 47 liters.
And then what about the in front? This also his storage space over here?
There's a storage space there.
This cubby also?
This is the coolant, and then that one has a pocket for stuff, but you can't put a handphone in there. As you can see, after 10 years, it cannot close anymore, so I got to use a duct tape.
Understood. And this question I want to ask you, continuing from the performance just now, how does she handle? Is it nimble in traffic? Is her pickup very good?
When I first got this bike, I was scared because it's so wide. like compared to the other motorcycles I've rode. But I think after a month or two, then I started to get used to the handling. So cutting, lane splitting is okay now. Pickup wise, it used not to be so good. But recently, after I went to my, I think he did some adjustment to the I don't know what he called it. He tell me mangkok. Okay. He like that. It's a plate. I also don't know what is it.
I see.
I think it's something to do with the rollers. He did some changes to the weight. And then the pickup is you're first to go, but if a Ferrari is beside you, it's definitely lose. Yeah, but not the normal cars, you are always first to go unless the T-Max is next to you or the X-Max. Then you definitely lose.
Don't say lah, that one.
Yeah. Or your bike. Yeah.
How about top speed, bro? In Malaysia, not in Singapore.
The most that I've been is 121.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not bad,
But it's screaming to tell you that stop it.
I see. I mean, it's a class 2B one, so...
Yeah, but pick up to 0 to 60 is enough to get you away from the traffic light.
Okay, so in your 5 years of ownership, I don't see much accessories.
Yeah, no.
The SYM GTS 200 accessories?
None.
No, none. Really?
I think
Seriously?
I changed the suspension 1.5 years ago because it was bottoming out the stock one. I think we used it for 12 years, about time. Even this one I had to wait like 4 months for me to get the suspension. Like my mechanic had to go back to Malaysia and order the part. So it's not easy to get. Yeah.
But do you go to Malaysia to do your bike?
No, I don't. Ever since I found this mechanic, I stopped going to Malaysia. But previously, I used to go to Malaysia a lot. Yeah, but I've rode this up to Malaysia now to buy my helmet, to makan, to wash the bike. Yeah. Correct. I've always wanted to be like you guys, go up to Thailand, but never had the balls to.
My friend Fairuz, he actually rode this bike to Thailand, you know, if I'm not mistaken.
But how long?
Was it the Maxim? But he was riding. He went into Betong, actually.
Wow.
How far is that?
That's like the border of Thailand already.
Perlis there.
So anyway, let's continue with this bike.
So being a previous generation of scooters, right? You know, nowadays scooters, they're packed with technology.
Oh yeah.
ABS, traction control.
This has nothing.
And really?
It only has working lights. And that's it. That's all it
the
has.
key also, the ignition is just use a key.
Yeah,
No
that's it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Speedometer.
It's all analog, yeah.
It's analog, it's not digital.
Yeah.
No ABS.
It's fault also because it's I couldn't even get one from a scrap yard also.
Seriously,
Yeah, like you can see it's stuck there.
Oh my gosh.
Despite the lack of technology, the beauty, the looks of this bike actually appeals, you know. Because okay, maybe to you like angular bikes.
Yes.
I like curvy bikes.
You like curvy.
I like curvy lines. You know, like this bike actually, when it first came out, and my friend Fairuz again, he actually put a BMW logo, you know. He put a BMW logo
Where, in the front?
I can't remember where, but he was at the. He put a BMW logo, and it actually fooled me, you know.
So you think it's a C series?
Yeah, I was like, wow, BMW.
The C series also. Right?
BMW. I was like, BMW got 2B. Is it? I was like,
It's big enough to fool you. Yeah, it's wide enough. Yeah,
big enough. It's wide enough, and it because it's curvy, just like the BMW bikes back then.
Yes,
it was more curvy,
C-series,
right?
I think.
The C-series were more curvy, so it actually fooled me, and also a few others
Fell for it.
fell for it. Yeah.
Okay, but you know, the design, it reminds me of what? No, the Silver Wing.
Yes.
First generation.
A longer wheelbase. It has a longer
it's
wheelbase.
like a mini version of the Silver Wing.
the one you reviewed previously.
That one is the second gen. I'm talking about the first gen with the round headlight. The headlight is almost the same. So Felsa, 5 years of ownership. I'm sure you have a lot of experience on maintenance for this bike. What's your frequency like? What do you change?
I change every 1,500 to 2,000 because it's an old bike. So I read the Y saying changing the engine oil is cheaper than changing the spare parts. So I've always done that. So it's very cheap. I think it's about $30. Yeah. Even when I use the Moto the Moto V, I use that one because that's what the mechanic recommended with spark plug, no oil filter. Yeah, $30, $35.
Have you changed the belting?
Oh yes, I changed 3 or 4 times in my ownership, which is about 150 around there.
That's the price range of scooter beltings nowadays. About 150, 200.
So you mentioned it has coolant also.
Yeah,
But
it's
how about the
water-cooled.
coolant issue, like you mentioned?
Oh yeah, when I first got the bike, it was there was difficulty starting in the morning. Then until I found this mechanic, then he told me that there was a problem with the coolant going into your head block and then wetting your spark plug. So you had issues starting with the morning. So the previous motor shop made me change my radiator, wanted me to overhaul the bike. So when he changed my radiator, it was a few $100. And I was like, okay, I think I need to find another bike shop. Then when he changed the gasket, so the coolant has been changed twice. After that, there's no issues with overheating or anything.
Oh, okay. Fuel consumption. How big is the tank and how far can you drive? Right.
I knew you guys were going to ask this question, so I googled it before I came for this. It's 8 liters. I don't count the mileage because I cannot work the dashboard. So on Google it says it's about 30 kilometers per liter. Yeah, but I think it's a bit lower than that because it's such an old bike. Yeah, and being carburetor, I think it is very hard to adjust. I don't know, that part I don't know. But yeah, that's the answer. I knew you guys were going to ask this question.
Have to mention this lah.
Yeah.
Actually, people want to know about specs.
But it's amazing how the X-Max is even more fuel efficient than this.
Of course, they are fuel injection. Yeah, and then we can really see how scooters have evolved today.
Yep, true.
I mean, packed with technology and all of the convenience of a motorcycle
Exactly.
that everybody wants. And this is really a relic of the 2010s.
It used to be so common, now it's going to be a vintage
Oh my gosh, thank God you actually contacted us and did this review, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking of it. I was like, hey, maybe it's good content. At least people would know that Singapore had this model.
There was a dinosaur on GTS 200.
like time passed so fast, right? Last time this was another Honda Wave, another Spark.
this one.
Oh my gosh, yes.
After this,
Now you hardly see on the road.
yeah, this one. This GTS will soon be a GTH, gone to heaven.
I'll go to hell.
Go to hell also can. Being the longest bike that you have rode,
Yeah.
what is the best memory you had with this bike?
This is the only bike where my pillion can fall asleep. And never have I rode a bike that I can go from one side of Singapore to the other and back without my butt hurting. So that's why after riding this bike, I think I'll get another scooter after this. Yeah, the scooter life is for me now.
Yeah.
Aspects of Forza.
No backaches.
No backache. And then,
You
don't have
thanks
to.
for reviewing the Forza.
Ah.
I was waiting for that.
and then the you don't have to play clutch.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, especially the when it's jam, all you have to do is this. That's all.
It's good at the checkpoint.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastic at the
And
checkpoint.
speaking
Yeah.
of checkpoints, bro, how far have you gone with this bike, man?
Only JB only.
Oh, man.
Yeah, only JB. Yeah. I wanted to go further, but because of the engine reliability, I feel so scared.
I
True
understand. Yeah, I think I understand.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to do a last trip with Hidayah also before I sell off.
But COVID.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So yeah lah.
But you have enough memories on your YouTube, you both.
Yeah lah, Thailand.
Thailand. It was fun. It was
I saw the one you fell down.
Oh my gosh, please don't remind me, bro. So we almost come to the end of the vlog. My conclusion, this is like, you know, a staple. Once a staple of Singaporean roads back then.
So comfy, so it is so comfy and it's so versatile. You can use this, utilize this as in many ways that you want.
And nowadays, you see this bike is actually a Malaysia plate already lah.
Yeah, that's true.
Very rare you see it plate F already. Now it's
So,
either J or V.
Yeah, that's right.
So I wouldn't recommend this because there's no more. I mean, even if there is in production, this is one bike that I would not recommend. Because of the engine reliability issues.
And maybe parts issues.
Yes, true.
Then yourself, Felza, what do you think?
Should
you
I recommend
this
it?
bike?
No, definitely. maybe 5 years ago I would recommend it because it was everywhere. Spare parts were cheap. Every mechanic know how to do it. No mechanics still know how to do it, but the spare parts and the engine. You go to a motor shop, the first thing the guy will tell you is, why don't you buy a new bike? It's the best. If you ride this into the motor shop, they look at you as a potential customer.
Oh my god, I want to ketuk you.
Yeah, that was what happened to me too.
Felza, thank you so much.
Thanks.
You know, for sharing your ride with us.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Relic of Singaporean roads.
Yes.
And
If you riders out there, if you have any bikes that you want to review, especially vintage bike, old bikes, or bikes that is not no more in production, or you want a piece of that memory with your beloved bike be kept in a video, just contact us. Feel free to contact
down
us.
below. And yeah, not only that lah, any riders want to review any bike with us, do get in touch with us on our social media pages.
Don't forget to like and share this video with your riding kakis, and don't forget to subscribe.
And yeah, that's it for the vlog, and we'll see you next one.